What if I told you that history's greatest empire was on the verge of collapse? What if I told you that every scholar, every strategist, every ruler in the world believed it was finished? And what if I told you that a prophecy made in a place thousands of miles away declared the impossible, that the Romans would rise again? Not just rise, but strike back with a vengeance that would shake the world. A war so brutal, so devastating that the fate of civilizations hung in the balance. At that moment, the mighty Roman Empire stood on the brink of annihilation. The Persians had crushed them, ravaged their cities, and claimed victory after victory. The world believed their fate was sealed. But then, the impossible happened, a revelation, a declaration that defied all logic, all reason, and all expectations. The Quran, the holy book of Islam, made a prediction, one that no historian, no general, no strategist of the time could have possibly believed, that the Romans, who were shattered, broken, and seemingly defeated, would win again.
The Romans have been defeated, but they, after their defeat, will overcome their enemies in a few years. To Allah belongs the command before and after, and that day the believers will rejoice.
This was not just a statement. This was a declaration, a divine prophecy, and what happened next was nothing short of extraordinary. The war that shook the world. 8 years before Islam emerged in the Arabian Peninsula, the world witnessed one of the most catastrophic wars in history. The two superpowers, the Eastern Roman Empire and the Persian Sassanid Empire, engaged in a brutal conflict that would determine the fate of the ancient world. The Persians, led by their ambitious ruler Khosrow II, launched relentless attacks against the Romans. One by one, the mighty cities of the Byzantine Empire fell. Damascus, Jerusalem, Alexandria, all of them crushed under Persian conquest. The Romans were humiliated. Their emperor, Heraclius, was desperate. His capital, Constantinople, was on the verge of collapse. It was as if today the world saw the total destruction of a superpower like the United States or China. The world believed the Romans were finished, but in Makkah, a place far from the Roman and Persian empires, a man, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, received a revelation from Allah that defied all logic. The Quran declared that the Romans would win again. This prophecy shocked everyone. The polytheists of Makkah mocked it. How could the Romans, who were utterly crushed, possibly make a comeback? But the believers held faith, and history was about to prove them right. To understand why the Roman Empire was in such a dire state, we need to look at what happened within. Before Heraclius, the Roman Empire was ruled by a tyrant named Phocas. He was despised by his people. His own army turned against him. His downfall was gruesome. He was captured, tortured, and executed in the most brutal way possible. Enter Heraclius, the man who would try to save Rome. But he inherited a kingdom in ruins. The Persian Empire had seized Jerusalem, the holiest city of Christianity. They stole the true cross, a sacred Christian relic. They had even reached the gates of Constantinople. It seemed like Rome's fate was sealed. The Persians were unstoppable. But against all odds, Heraclius did something extraordinary. He reorganized his army, he forged alliances, he gathered resources from across his empire. And then he launched one of the greatest military campaigns in history. In a series of surprise attacks, he struck deep into Persian territory. One by one, the Persians started losing ground. The turning point in 627 CE at the Battle of Nineveh, Heraclius led his troops into Persian lands and destroyed the Persian army. The Persian king, Khosrow II, was overthrown. The Romans reclaimed their lost territories. Jerusalem was returned to Christian rule. The true cross was restored to the church, and just like the Quran had predicted, the Romans had won. The Quran had foretold this victory, and when it happened, the Muslims in Makkah celebrated. Why? Because their struggles mirrored that of the Romans. Just as the Romans had faced oppression, persecution, and loss, so had the Muslims under Quraysh rule. The victory of the Romans was a sign that Allah's promises were true, that just as the Romans had overcome their enemies, so too would the Muslims. And not long after, that prophecy also came true. With the Battle of Badr, the small Muslim army defeated the powerful Quraysh forces. 2 victories, 2 prophecies fulfilled. The power of the Quran. The Quran is not just a book of guidance, it is a book of truth. A book that foretold events that unfolded exactly as prophesied. The victory of the Romans was one of the most astonishing predictions in history. It defied logic, human understanding, and worldly calculations. And yet, it happened. So, the question is, what other divine truths lie within its pages?